welcome to the end of season awards show. We have Jamie, Cian, Philip, and Oisin with me today. Fee Krataf is here, or not here, I should say, along with Daz Hartnett, but they have their votes in as well, have their votes here. So, yeah, we've a number of categories anyway to get into, guys. Everyone will share their vote, and obviously the most votes will win, clearly. But how are you feeling about this, guys?
Can't wait. Should be good.
Yeah. Some good topics coming up. So, yeah, looking forward to it. I'd say we've all been thinking all day. So, yeah.
Yeah. We'll get into the first one on that note, and it's controversy of the season, or controversial moment of the season, if you like. Philip, we'll start with you.
Yeah, look, I suppose the one of most recent weeks, the whole situation down in Waterford, not the electricity now, the sacking of Bertram. That, like, look, it's come back and cost them big time now, like, you know, and like, I think the way it was dealt with and the way it was conducted was just completely out of order, and everyone knows exactly what was going on. Well, in terms of Mark, kind of seems to be a bit unfairly done by, you know, and look, ultimately it's cost them in the end. And again, I feel for the fans, because, do you know what I mean? Like, when the manager comes out and says that the owner only owns the club so his kids can play football, like, you know what I mean? That's, like, I'd be embarrassed to be a fan of that club, knowing that that's the reason why the owner is putting money into the club. Now, look, that's obviously, I think there's more to it than he just wants his kids to play football, like, do you know what I mean? But yeah, no, I just think it's been a mess. It has been a mess, and again, as I said, ultimately it cost them, Keith. So,
Jamie, which one did you go for?
Yeah, I agree with Philip there. I went with the same Bertram incident at Waterford. I thought it was crazy, to be fair. I think Philip summed it up pretty well.
Oisin?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with what happened with Dundalk, you know, and obviously Perth coming back, and the whole rigmarole, you know, that went on with Mizzelton and so on, just a bit absurd, you know. And I mean, they done well to recover in the second part of the season when Perth came in, but yeah, what happened at Dundalk, you know, and the whole peak six thing, you know, just that's
a good one, yeah. Actually.
But yeah, that's my 2 cents. Anyway, controversy would be with the Dundalk, the fallout.
Keno.
Yeah, look, both of them, to be honest, were probably on par, I think, but because I think it cost Waterford more, I'm going to say the Bertram one, just because it cost them a place in the league, to be honest. But I think Dundalk were a laughing stock this season, and it's only in recent weeks they kind of got their act together now. And obviously, it's mad how things change in the league. Because you look at Dundalk now, and there's a bit of hype about the place, and it just shows you what a couple of weeks in the League of Ireland does. But you know, I have to go on Bertram because it did cost them position in the league, you know.
I went with that one as well. So that's 5 votes. Daz went for Long, missing the cup final. I knew that would get a bit of a stick, yeah. I see that. I knew that.
It's clearly still one. Clearly still
one. That's controversy the season from a bowler's point of view, and not controversy of the season. But yeah, he went with that, and Fikra actually went with Bertram as well, to be fair, but Bertram's after winning. Waterford won the vote for controversy this season, basically, so we'll stick that in there. Oisin, match of the season.
Yeah, it was a tough one, really. Kind of thought back to the start of the season. I actually remember watching it was 2-2 between Longford and Bows, and Bows were sailing through the match, and then Connor Davis came off the bench and scored 2 goals to equalise, and just kind of thought there was 3 or 4, and I thought, you know, that was great entertainment there. And obviously, you know, Longford had got a win, I think a week or 2 before that. They beat Derry, and it was a good start for them. Like, and yeah, that would have been mine. Something different, you know. I'd say there'll be other ones that these lads will pick, which will be, you know, topical. But yeah, that my one would have been the 2-2 draw between Longford and Bows and Dalymount.
Philip.
Actually, I'm gonna go for Longford.
I think this will be mixed, actually.
I went for Longford and Dundalk when Longford done them down there after all the controversy, and I know it's probably a game that meant nothing, but I just think the circumstances around it, in terms of, like, you know, Dundalk kind of were desperate for the points, and Longford were practically gone at that stage, and you think, something that's going to be a walk in the park for Dundalk here. I think everyone at the time thought it was going to be, even with how bad things were. But Longford pulled off a shock, and look, it was nice to see, because at the end of the day, they had a lot of tough times down there, and obviously went down quite early. And it was nice to see them get a result. And I thought at the time it was a big result, but it didn't get I don't think it got the traction it should have, because there was other good games on around the time as well. So, that was the game we chose, Keith. Probably a bit of left field, but again, for my own reasons and the whole season with Longford, that's why I went with it.
Cian?
Yeah, there was actually a couple there, and I was trying to see if anyone had any of my ones. There was I was a toss up between two of them, and for me it was the Bows and Rovers Cup game in Dalymount.
Ooh, interesting. That
was a decent one, just a good advert for the game, and the atmosphere.
You don't agree, Philip?
There was only about 800 people there, which was a shame, and there was no away supporters. But I was fuming when Andy Lyons scored, because I didn't want the game to end, type of thing. It was a really good game. It was in the height of the lockdown as well, and I think it just gave a bit of a lift, because it was on a different night to everyone else. And obviously I had the Pats and Dundalk Cup semi-final and full house in Richmond. Had to be up there for that. But I've gone for the Bows and Rovers one, just for the importance of it, because
this was the 2-1 Bows now, wasn't it, at Dalymount?
Yeah, it's when Andy King scored the free kick.
Free kick, yeah.
And Andy Lyons scored with his left foot.
Yeah. That's me suggesting there was another win at Dalymount for Bows against Rovers as well.
No, I just thought
fair enough.
It's a big statement in the cup, and whoever kind of won that was possibly they would have liked to think that
they would have won the cup, but they didn't.
But that's where I went with that one.
Jamie.
Yeah, I went with another bad moment for Bohemians. Drogheda beat them 3-2 in United Park.
Ooh,
a great game. Drogheda went 3-0 up in the first half, and then in the second half, they were amazing in the second half. It was a shame that they didn't start the same way, but it was just a great game, mostly 5 goals. Seeing Drogheda play beautiful football, it really was. Clancy ball, it was amazing. Everyone was so good, especially the two fullbacks, Conor Kane and James Brown. It was they probably dipped a few weeks before, and they really came back into their own in this game. I just remember it being an amazing game.
Liam Burt as well got a cracker in that game as well, from the halfway line pretty much. But that's the one I went for as well. Fikra went for that as well. Daz went for the 3-1 Bows win against Shamrock Rovers. But that's 3 votes for Drogheda 3, Bows 2. So that wins match of the season. Yeah, I thought that was excellent as well, to be fair. Bows actually nearly nicked it at the end, Jamie, didn't they, with that Georgie Kelly chance as well.
Crazy.
Now, guys, fans of the season. Jamie, we'll start with you for this one, actually. Fans of the season.
I went for Dundalk, which is probably surprising to a few people, but I just think, they've went through so much this season, with all the uncertainty with Pick 6. Now the new owners coming in, and I think, despite, all the shite that's gone on behind the scenes, let's be real, ever since fans have been able to go back into the stadium, Dundalk's performances have almost lifted at the same time as well, and the Dundalk fans definitely have a big part to play in it. I think they were always there singing in that little shed down in Norwell. Brilliant, a lot of good displays. I know, let's be real, there's been a bit of controversy off the scenes with statements about flares and fireworks and that sort of thing, but taking that with a pinch of salt, I think Dundalk fans have been class all season.
Cian.
Yeah, Dundalk for me. I think I said it to you as well, Keith, before. I honestly, I was surprised. I genuinely believe if that was any other team in the league that went through that, I think the fans, it'd be a hostile atmosphere. And, going up to Oriel, even when you were losing, for example, I'm trying to think of Finn Harps in the Cup. When they're one down. And the fans were just amazing, clapping the team off the pitch, giving them everything. And they've gone through some shit, like every club has, but I think Dundalk got their fair share of it. A couple of big mentions would be for me, in towards the end of the season was Cork City, as well.
Yeah.
They had a big, I know they always had a big fan base, But towards the end of the year, they really got that back, and they really got that connection back with the players. Look, Shamrock Rovers probably don't get the credit they deserve because they always have numbers type of thing. But, you know, they were really good this year, especially when the football wasn't great. But I've just gone for Dundalk.
Philip?
This was a difficult one. Trying not to get a bit upset about this, but obviously what happened with that Rovers fan there a few weeks back, that kind of was something that brought me very close to saying Rovers in terms of how we reacted to it. Like, you know, heartbreaking news when a fan doesn't get to go home after going and seeing their team win the league, and you know, that's something that will stick with me for the rest of my life. You know, it was really something that put it really close to me putting Rovers, because I just thought the reaction from the public was brilliant. But no, I'm gonna go with Dundalk on this one. Fans were brilliant all season, you know, and I'll go with Dundalk on that, to be honest with you.
Oisín?
Yeah, clean sweep for me, Dundalk. Resident off Dundalk. I was just thinking, you know, obviously it was down in Oriel for the cup replay, and yeah, there's something else that shed, you know, that shed end, or some atmosphere, like, and you know, even before the match they were going, you know, and you know, they really did add to a great encounter. So yeah, it's Dundalk for me. And as Amy mentioned, they've been through a lot this year with the league section and so on. So yeah, no, they've done very well. And,
yeah, I went for Dundalk as well. So that's 6 I went for Dundalk. Guess who Daz went for?
Bowes.
Yeah, Bowes.
Now, in fairness, you can see where it's coming from in terms of.
I know you can, especially. I think he was referring, Kane, to the European games mainly, like, you know, and obviously as a Bowes fan and being in that as well, you'd really get into that. You know what I mean? It was great, to be fair, as well. But I agree with you guys generally. Dundalk, because of the poor season they had on and off the pitch, I was actually shocked. A lot of fans probably wouldn't get behind their team in that way, but for that reason,
seen what happened with Cork, Keith. We've seen what happened with Cork when they had a very similar thing. You know what I mean? Attendance has dropped off, and to be fair to them, they kept the gates right up till the end of the season. So fair play to them, well done, and hopefully they can get their stuff sorted and come back stronger next season.
Exactly. So we're going to move on to flop of the season. Oisín, we'll start with you this time.
One only person, David Parkhouse. You know, you're thinking he was coming into the league, and you know, he was great when he was here, you know, 2 seasons ago. And yeah, just didn't work out for him at all. And he went in July, you know, of the season. But yeah, personal opinion, he just didn't. I don't think he scored a goal, to be honest. So
17 appearances, no goals, no assists.
Yeah, so that was it. Like, he just absolute flop of the season. And it was just great to see, because the Derry fans hyped the shit out of him, you know, going into the season. Oh, he'll be great. Oh, we'll be great this year. Oh, you know, Parkhouse is back. Oh, the partnership is there and all this here. You know, and it didn't work. It didn't work out. So yeah, Parkhouse for me. I was happy enough.
Philip.
Yeah, look, I could say a few players, to be honest with you. To be honest, I agree exactly with Usher. I'm going to go with David Parkhouse. It was such a shame, though. I'm the other side of the coin, where I just, you know what I mean, you wonder if he's firing on all cylinders and Derry don't have that poor start. Do you know what I mean? How much closer would they have got to the likes of Rovers and Sligo, you know, and Pats as well, obviously. But look, probably wouldn't have been enough still anyways if he was banging form. But it was a shame to see, you know, and I don't like. Do you know what I mean? It's great when you see it for your happen to your rivals. So I can understand Usher's point of view there, but I just think Derry missed the kick there, or missed the beat rather, when it came to him. So yeah, no, he was my choice for flop of the season.
Kane?
Bastion Hurley.
Yeah.
To be honest,
he is up there, yeah.
He was tipped for Pats, and I remember Pats fans going absolutely mental when he was supposed to sign for Pats, and they were buzzing, and he was that missing piece in that midfield, you know, and he was that player that's going to really push Pats on for Europe as we thought, you know, and he was that player that makes the difference. And then all of a sudden you hear the news that he's after having a change of heart, and Bowes kind of panicked and for him really. There's no other way around it, and he was a flop from minute one. He didn't get a minute. I seen him play a game. It was during the day as well. I think they played up in Oriel in pre-season friendly. It was behind closed doors, but I was watching that. They were awful. He was awful in that game, and then the next time I see him play, he's not even coming off the bench, for example. And then the next time I see him play, he's thrown on up front on the Sunday afternoon. And then 2 weeks later, he's playing. He's playing up in Derry, and he's sitting on the bench again. So for me, for the wages he would have been on, or Bowes panic buying him, and then trying to ship him out to Derry, where he really played as well, or when he did play, he was just a passenger. So it's, for me, he has to be flop of the season.
Jamie?
Yeah, I went with Parkhouse too as well. But I think here he's also a good shout. I think the thing that also made me decide for Parkhouse was because Derry, obviously, they gave him a multi-year contract. So that was almost like a given that he was going to do well at Derry. Whereas with Harry, he was struggling a little bit over in the infield. So maybe the expectations weren't as high. Whereas with Parkhouse, I think everyone was almost sure he was going to get at least 10 goals this season. And, obviously that didn't happen. So, Parkhouse edges it for me.
Yeah, I went for Parkhouse as well for those reasons, because I expected more from that. From Parkhouse going to Derry than I did here. He actually going to Bowles, believe it or not. I was one of the few that was happy enough that Bowles nicked them off Pats as well, if some might remember. But I just didn't expect as much from him as others may have. But so that's 4 votes for Parkhouse. Daz also went for Harry as well. And actually, Fikra went for Zahibo, which was an interesting one. So obviously he was a flop, let's be honest as well. But yeah, I think Parkhouse wins that award. Not the best award to win, but there you go. Where are we on to next?
At least he won something this year.
He won something this year. Well done. Goal of the season. We'll start with Jamie actually this time.
For me, I went with Graham Burke against Derry up in the Brandywell. Halfway line, just strikes a beautiful strike. And as well, the Brandywell is a big pitch. It's not like Richmond Park or any of them smaller pitches. It's huge. And keeper, he wasn't on the line, but he wasn't really far. I think it was definitely a perfect shot from that distance, and I thought he was really, really good in the game. So, for that reason, I just thought it was an amazing goal. There's obviously probably goals that have a bit more meaning, maybe, but just for the skill, and not even that, just the confidence in yourself to be able to do that probably is the reason why I've went with that Graham Burke goal.
Yeah, it was a very good goal, to be fair. Cian?
Yeah, there's a couple. It's really tough. I think probably 5 or 6. If you were to make 10 of them, 5 or 6 would probably be Pat's ones. In terms of Chris Forrester won that strikes, and
5 or 6 would be him.
Yeah, alone, and for me, I've gone for the Matty Smith goal against Dundalk. If anyone watches it back, it was the semi-final. It was, it was 1-1 at the time. Young Dara Bones, it was probably better than the goal. He actually pointed to where the ball was going. Matty Smith made a run, and I don't even know how it ended up in the top bins, but it did. And it was for everything like that, the importance of it, the meaning for Pats fans and stuff like that. Obviously, we had Graham Burke's goal. Another goal that I really liked was Liam Scales against Longford. What a header! What an unbelievable header! And I think we had to lose someone there, didn't we?
Yeah, we lost
Jamie's gone. Keep talking for now, anyway. You probably come back.
So Liam Scales would be a big one for me as well, where I thought the importance of that last minute. Rovers were in a bit of bad form at the time. And, there's a couple of goals like that. I've gone for the Matty Smith one for me.
Right, so Philip, goal of the season for you.
Obviously, look, you want to give it to a couple of Rovers lads, some brilliant goals this season, but I think one of the greatest goals of all time that I've seen in my lifetime was that Chris Forrester goal last weekend. And just what he done on such a big occasion. Like, everyone knows how tight those games have been. Look, it was tight and it went to penalties eventually, but just that bit of magic, it was absolutely wonderful. And there's not many times I've actually clapped a rival's team scoring a goal. I was on the couch. I was going to go. I didn't go, and I regretted it because, like, that was.
I confirm, Philip. I didn't clap.
Yeah, I'd imagine you didn't, and I'd imagine Keano's the same as well. But I'm still lost for words for it. It was brilliant. Like, if Messi done something against, I think it was like a Tafe years ago, Maradona done something similar. And, like, look, don't get me wrong, it wasn't to that sort of caliber, but it was along the lines of it. Do you know what I mean? He picks the ball up on the halfway line practically and has to go and beat 2 or 3 players. And then the shot there, I thought he showed his experience. And I think he was one of the main reasons why Pats won the cup, obviously, with that goal. But I just think his leadership and how he got about the pitch, I thought he was brilliant. So no, that was my goal of the season. Absolute wonderful goal. So well done to Pats again on the cup, and that goal in particular for Chris Forrester.
I'm loving the diversity actually so far. Oisin?
I'm gonna go for Jordi Musto's goal against Shamrock Rovers. It was the first goal in the 2-1 win. It was like Barcelona. Great passing move. It was, down the line from Barry McNary.
I remember it now.
Yeah, it was really good. Like, and then into the box then with Ryan Reedy, and then Ryan Reedy put it to the left, and Musto, finished. Then that was, I had this thought it was a very good team goal. Regardless of the team, obviously Harp scored like a bit biased, but I thought it was a very good team goal. But like Barcelona, good passing move, and that was my goal of the season.
Yeah, especially because it was against Shamrock Rovers as well, so you're doing it against a good side. You know what I mean? Yeah, Daz went for Liam Burt's goal against Drogheda, and that's one vote for everybody except I went for McElhenney against Vitesse in the Conference League. Remember that goal? Yeah, and the fact he did it. The fact he did it against Vitesse, like, obviously a team of a decent standard, they went and beat Tottenham on the group stage, but the quality of that goal, like, from McElhenney and the finish, like, was just like, go, but watch it back if you haven't seen it, guys. Unbelievable goal. Feker went for that as well, so that means that wins with 2 votes, and the amount of different goals actually was brilliant actually to see. But McElhenney's goal against Vitesse wins that one. Overachievers of the season.
We'll take that.
This could be first division as well, by the way. Just throw it in there.
I went with Derry Keith. Off the fact of how, look, at the start of the season, they probably wouldn't have thought it could have been as bad as it did. But when they sacked the manager and they obviously replaced it with Rory Higgins, I never in a million years, everyone thought they were still in big trouble. And look, obviously they needed a favour from Pats, but I thought the fact that they got themselves into Europe for next season, what a turnaround that was. And look, again, you could argue the case of it wasn't like that at the start of the season, and they probably should have finished there regardless. But after the first 7 or 8 games, if not a little bit more, they had no chance at all in my book. Everyone wrote them off. Everyone did. I remember on the channel, myself, yourself, and Keynote mentioned that, like, they were just a shambles and nobody gave them a hope. So I thought that was such a big overachievement, the fact they got themselves into Europe. But I think the fact they beat Dundalk in the final game of the season as well, it just showed where they had come from, And look, obviously there's question marks over the players that Dundalk had to put out and the sticky situation that Vinnie Perth was put in. But they still had to go and do a job up in Oriel Park, where we only mentioned there the fans were brilliant as well, and there was no different on that day as well. So yeah, no, I think they were definitely the overachievers of the season in my book.
What's Shane?
Trinity United in the first division.
Trinity, yeah.
Trinity, yeah. I just thought they done very well. Considering, some people will say they had a team assembled ready to go, but I don't think they did, to be honest. I think they got the bare bones together in the last few days, and they got the license and so on. And no one really thought, even on my own LOI page, like I put them down as 9, before the season started, so I just thought they'd done very well to get into the playoffs, and obviously they can build on that next year. But yeah, Trinity United were my overachievers.
Cian.
Yeah, I think people know who I'm gonna say. I don't want to be just picking Pats because I'm a Pats man, but if anyone had asked any Pats fan, do you think you're gonna finish second and win a cup, you'd be laughed at. Like not.
You had them 5th at the start of the season. Just to throw it in there.
I thought we'd finish 5th, and it'd be a toss up between ourselves and Sligo for 4th spot. And that's the way I thought the season was going to pan out. We've been absolutely blessed with unbelievable football this year. Some of the performances, some of the big performances when we probably weren't expecting like that. And obviously the cup final all made it that little bit sweeter. But, you know, I don't think you can really look past Pats because they were second all season. And, you know, didn't really leave second. And in this league, that's a hard thing to do. Obviously, Rovers finished first and didn't leave first. But, you know, to finish second in it with a squad so small as well, with the amount of young lads on the pitch, that's why I've gone for Pats because, you know, you look at the amount of young lads that we're at bringing through and are playing like you're seeing James Abankwa, for example, Darrell Bones, you know, Ben McCormick. These aren't just making up numbers. These are players now that are actually knocking on the door for the starting 11. And Darrell Bones is a nailed-on starter. We expect Ben McCormick to be the exact same next year, maybe even James Abankwa. So it just, you know, we're not just bringing players in when we're 2 or 3-0 up, you know, in games and we're giving them game time. We're bringing them in and they're playing and they're making a difference. So that's why I've gone for Pat's Overachievers. Treaty's a big one for me as well. And as well, I'll go for Finn Harps because it's always, you know, Finn Harps have to be named because to have their own destiny in their own hands on the last day of the season is something that Finn Harps never get. So, you know, Ocean would agree with me. Look, it's great to know that if you do your job, you win it. So, overall, I've gone for Pats, but there's a couple of teams in and around that, you know, that deserve a mention.
Jamie?
Yeah, I went with Treaty as well. I think it's crazy when you think of it. All the stuff that happened behind the scenes last winter, it's crazy how they were able to assemble a team that got into the playoffs. It really is, and it's a testament to everyone who is obviously volunteering down at Treaty. I think I heard somewhere that there was one trial day, they had 30-40 players going down on a trial and they picked a squad from that. It really is crazy. Like, with all due respect to Treaty, like these players, they weren't offered contracts in other league or teams. And this Treaty squad somehow managed to finish ahead of teams that, you know, release some of these players. It really is a testament to all the work being done there. And I'm really, really interested to see if they can build on that finish now and add a few more players into that team and, most importantly, hold on to the players that they already have.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I went for Treaty as well for those reasons. I went for Treaty to finish 9th, so like looking at the table and picking them to finish 9th, I kind of have to pick them as the overachievers of the season. As you said, put a squad together of rejects in many ways, isn't they, from other clubs and that kind of thing, and players that maybe, as you said, no one wants to take a chance on. So, you know, unbelievable to finish in the playoffs and only to get beaten by UCD, who actually went on to win ultimately the playoffs and get up into the Premier Division. So for that reason, I went for Treaty. They actually got the most votes. They got 3 votes. Pats 2, Derry 2. Fikra actually went Pats and Daz went Derry. So Underachievers, we'll start with Jamie with this one.
Yeah, I went with Dundalk.
Smiling away.
I think Dundalk, you know, they're probably the obvious shape for this one.
Yeah.
We thought that they were going to really be in that top 2, pushing Shamrock Rovers. Obviously, it just didn't happen. Everyone knows how messy it is behind the scenes at Dundalk. But even going into the season, they were bringing in players. Like Wilfred Zahibo was a great example. Like, he's on monster wages and he was expected to come in and, you know, really drive this Dundalk team on. But sure, I don't know, for whatever reason, it just didn't click. And, you know, for that reason, for me, they're the only obvious pick for this Underachievers.
Is anyone actually going to change that? Is anyone actually going to disagree with it?
That's what I'm wondering. There's
2 teams in this.
This will be interesting.
Get out of it, Keno. You couldn't put anyone ahead of Dundalk, could you?
No, it's a toss-up.
But let's hear the contenders, yeah.
Right, come on.
It's a I've gone for Dundalk in the end, right?
There we go. Right, there we go.
Tell you, it's a toss-up between Bows and Dundalk. I think, you know, Bows have really fell off that page this year. They finished 3rd in the last couple, 2nd last year, wasn't it? Like, But
They finished above Dundalk in second, yeah, you're right, yeah.
And, they finished third the year before, didn't they?
Yeah.
And, it's to just see them fall. And the recruitment side of things this year probably got it wrong. Look, it was bound to happen one year. And then, with the European run and how well they done, and then towards the back end of the season, when games that they should be winning and getting performances in and they didn't, and that was, to be honest, it's a massive loss for the club that they're not in Europe this year coming. I think the heart was set on the cup and stuff like that. And obviously, it's disappointing for them that they had to go into the cup final knowing that they needed to win, and I think it was it added an unneeded pressure. I don't think you can really beat Dundalk in terms of that, and really with everything that went on and the money that was spent and the sporting directorship and stuff like that. So yeah, Dundalk will have to win it, I think.
Oisín?
Yeah, I'm gonna go for Harps. I just based on last season, I'm a bit disappointed, just being a fan and so on. I mean,
they've underachieved, really. Underachieved.
I mean, they've managed to keep the core for the first time in a number of seasons. I'm dropping a bombshell here. The Hearts fans
definitely have.
Don't bricks at me,
wait until Ollie Horgan gets a hold of you.
That's like
interesting.
Yeah, the first time in a few seasons the Harps managed to keep the core of the squad. You had your likes of Charles O'Sullivan, David Webster's, even Adam Foley, he was good towards the end of the season before that. And managed to keep the core squad. And that was the first time in a while, because obviously Harps 1-year contracts and so on. And yeah, I just also had a good start. And then we fell off then mid-season, and then we started coming into it, and then we fell off. Just very inconsistent, and I just thought, this year was the year going into it to try and establish, either 5th or 6th or 7th, I mean, and they still end up in the same place they were last year, albeit on goal difference. But yeah, I just thought they underachieved. I thought they should have, this year was the best year in a few years to, try and establish themselves.
Interesting, Philip. Be interesting to see any comments in the comments about that, actually, Philip.
As much as I wanted to say Bows, I had to say Dundalk. Look, I actually don't need to talk about that, Keith. We all know why. They were absolutely shambolic. But it's surprising, isn't it? The two teams that were worst off this season individually, both of their fans just happened to not turn up like the teams themselves. So look, we'll move on.
So that's Dundalk winning the vote, basically. They've 6 votes, so Finn Harps got 1. Daz and, Peaker went for Dundalk. We'll go to Young Player of the Year in the first division. Oisín, we'll start with you this time.
Yeah, you want 21 or younger?
Yeah, 21 or younger, first division. Young Player of the Year,
I think there's only a few candidates for this. Obviously, you have, Liam Kerrigan, and you have, Colin Whelan. So yeah, I think I'll go for Colin Whelan. Yeah, I think he was just different class. All the goals he scored, was it 26 for the season, 26, 27.
Like that, 21 in the league anyway. So very impressive.
So Colin Whelan would be mine.
Philip.
Yeah, he's definitely not going to win it, but I just wanted to mention it because I thought he individually had a very, very good season. Jimmy Corcoran. Thought he was very, very good for Wexford. I know we conceded a lot of goals, but he also did make some very, very good saves, and I have a personal interest in him after what happened to him a few years back in that penalty shootout for the Ireland team against the Netherlands, I think it was. So I just kept an eye on him quite quietly as being a goalkeeper myself. I like to watch young goalkeepers up and coming, So I'm going to give it to him, and obviously big move to Cork next season. So I don't know if he watches, but Jimmy, if you do, all the best next season, pal. And listen, hopefully you can build on a very, very good season last year. That's why you get my Young Player of the Year vote.
Good shout, Keno.
Yeah, I've gone for Colin Whelan. I don't think he's brilliant at what he does and scores goals. But I think if he does go now to a Premier Division club like in the summer, like the Shamrock Rovers, I think he has to adapt his game a little bit.
Yeah.
he doesn't do anything for UCD without possession. So when UCD haven't got the ball, it's like you're playing with 10 men. Now whether that's set up like that and they want him to keep his energy so he can go and punish teams. Look, it's working. He's only scored 20 odd goals. Who am I to say he has to change his game? But I just think if he does go to a Premier Division club, it's a different type of fitness, different type of level. And look, I've no doubt he'll be able to get there through a bit of hard work. But what a season he's had. He's definitely the bright spark of the first division. There's a couple of players that could be named in and around him as well, but he's definitely the only one that really stands out, isn't he?
Yeah, Jamie.
I've actually went for Liam Kerrigan. I think Colin Whelan, super player, proper goal scorer like Ian saying, but I think a lot of his goals depend on his service, and I think Liam Kerrigan, Jack Keeney, Paul Doyle, all these players, they play in such a way that maybe accommodates for Colin Whelan to get all the headlines. I think Liam Kerrigan, especially, I watched him live for the first time down in Richmond now a couple of weeks ago now, and he was absolutely superb. The level of delivery he has off the right, it's next level. Like whether it be a fizz, or a floater, he's brilliant. Confident taking on players too. I think Liam Kerrigan might be actually better suited to the Premier Division than Colin Whelan is. But no doubt Whelan, another obvious shout that could be said. And as well, an honourable mention to Jack Moylan of Wexford. He's an absolute star. In the poor Wexford side, he's got his move to Shelbourne now, and I'm really excited to see how he'll do next year.
Yeah, Kerrigan was actually excellent. I think he got 12 or 13 goals and nearly as many assists as well. So he was really good too. Yeah, definitely agree with that. But Colin Whelan wins the vote. Daz and Beaker went for Whelan as well. So Whelan gets the young player of the year. Player of the year now in the first division. We'll start with Jamie this time. Who'd you go for?
Yeah, I've agreed with the PFAI here. I'm going to go with Ryan Brennan. I think people might have been giving him a bit of slack. I saw on social media a few people saying Colin Whelan should have won it. I think Ryan Brennan, to score that many goals from midfield, he's top goal scorer apart from Colin Whelan in the first division, isn't he, Keith? I think he is.
Yeah, he is. 15 goals,
yeah. And in a spot where Shells are probably not the strongest in midfield, and I think he stood out as the best midfielder in the league by a country mile, and he was really super. And when Shells maybe weren't getting the goals through Michael O'Connor or Yo-Yo Matty, he stepped up from deeper position, and his overall play, he's experienced as well. He's experienced, it's Premier Division experience at a high level, and to bring that back into the first division, I thought he was super all season. He didn't really have a bad game. I thought it was amazing.
Kino.
Yeah, I agree with everything he says. Definitely Ryan Brennan for me. What a player. Look, he left Pats and kind of people thought he was kind of going to go down to the first division and rock type of thing. That mentality the first division used to be, get down there for paycheck and stuff like that. But he really showed us quality. I hope he goes to Premier Division club next year. I know he's left Shells. It's a different type of physicality. Whether he'll have 90 minutes in him be a different story. But I've no doubt whoever he signs for, I think he would be an addition to every single team in the league. If you're playing Ryan Brennan for even 20, 30 minutes in a game, whoever you are next season, you're going to get a player. He knows where the back of the net is. He knows how to defend. He does the donkey walk. And you know what? He's brilliant. And it's great to see. Look, he's the last of the Brennan crowd coming through as well. So it's a shame, but Ryan has been around the block now for years, and it feels like, and it's mad to think he's only as young as he is. But, I have to say, I really hope he goes Premier Division next year and we see him week in, week out playing Premier Division football, because I think he deserves it.
Philip, who'd you go for?
Yeah, no questions asked here. I thought he was brilliant all season. Look,
good.
Keno would have watched him a lot more than I would have. I've watched him on a handful of occasions, and I was probably a bit unfortunate to see him in games where he probably didn't flourish as much as he probably should have or probably didn't in other games, if you know what I mean. So, look, yeah, no questions asked there. Just the amount of goals he scored coming from midfield, and yeah, look, there's very little you can say about him that was negative this season. And look, I think he's been a part of a shell side that we haven't really mentioned much in this show so far. So no, 100% credit to him, credit to Shells. Obviously a bit disappointing that he hasn't stayed on with Shells, which I was surprised at after such an incredible season. But look, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors and what he's thinking and what they're thinking. So listen, all the best to him. But yeah, no, that's him. My first division player of the year is.
What's he?
Yeah, probably be fair enough to say Brennan, but I'll throw an honorable mention on there. Sam Todd of UCD, captain of UCD, and popped up a couple of goals. And yeah, I think he deserves a bit of recognition because he was the heart of the defence in UCD, former Herps man as well. But yeah, no, definitely could see him going places whenever he does finish up on UCD. But yeah, I think there's no argument really. I'll have to give it to Brennan.
Yeah, so I went for Ryan Brennan and Feaker went for Ryan Brennan and Daz went for Colin Whelan. So I went for him for young player and player of the year, which is fair enough. He can do that. So Ryan Brennan wins the first division player of the year. Where are we on to next? Yeah, young player of the year in the Premier Division. Oisin, we'll start with you.
Yeah, it hits me to say it, but I think I'm gonna have to go with Ronan Boyce. He's been the mucker himself. But at the end of the day, he is a Donegal man. He is in Donegal, but he plays for Derry, and we can't really blame him. He didn't get the opportunity at Harps, whatever. But yeah, I think Ronan Boyce has to be that. Yeah, I just thought he was very, very good. Popped up 3 goals as well, same with Sam Todd. So yeah, Ronan Boyce. Be interesting to see what happens in the next few years. Will he stay at Derry? Will he move on to bigger things? Because you can definitely see him, see a career across the water for
him. Philip.
Just a quick one. Does Dara apply for this, Keno?
Who, Dara Burns?
Yeah,
he's under 21.
Yeah, sorry, I was just double checking that because he was my young. He was definitely my young player of the year.
Okay.
Oh, what a fabulous footballer, lads! Look, Keno's singing his praises week in, week out on the channel, and I only started really saying, do you know what? I'm gonna go and look back on this fella halfway through the season, and boy, God, what a scary player he is! Like really, really, really talented. I hate to say it to you, Keno, but I think he's already outgrown Pats. I think there's a move imminent for him, if not this year, next year, if he can keep up the form that he's shown this season. Like, he's just lightning scary, and you know what I mean? No defender in the division wants to play against him. It's as simple as that. And just look, he didn't contribute a massive amount of goals or a massive amount of assists, but just what he contributed to Pats overall, I think he was a massive part in them getting to where they did in terms of finishing second and winning the cup. I thought he was a good outlet for them in the cup final as well. And at such a young age, look, 40,000 fans. He wasn't the standout player on the pitch, as I said. I thought Forrester was fantastic, but I thought Dara was a very close second in behind there. Just looked lively, and every time you got the ball, I think everyone sits up. Everyone just that little bit more alert, So he was my young player of the year. Well done to him. And look, hopefully he can kick on again, because he's a smashing young player that I think will get a call up sooner rather than later, hopefully from Mr. Stephen Kenny.
Keno.
Yeah, look, I had a group of 5: Dara, Boyce, Dawson, Tooney, and I also had James Abankwah in there, because I just thought how good he was. But I've gone for Ross Tooney as player of the year, or young player of the year. The reason being, I think Dara has been unbelievable for Pats. It was a toss of the coin between the two, but I think if you take Dara Bones out of Pats, I think you can kind of still get the results. But I think if you took Ross Tooney out of Bowles, that's a massive hole gone. I think he was more important for Bowles than Dara was for Pats. Now, I'm not saying Dara's not important. Probably one of our main players now, and I absolutely love the kid to bits. But, I've gone for Tooney. I just think some of the stuff he does, especially, the games in the Aviva over the summer, and, he really took to the league unbelievably well. He obviously broke in towards the back end of last year, and this year he was in fully, and he was there from the start, and he was playing. It wasn't like, let's say for example, Dawson that wasn't in for the first 10 games or so, and even Boyce was kind of what didn't have the best of starts to the season, and I just thought Tierney was the most consistent. If anyone had have asked, did I think Darragh Bones would be as important to Pats as he is now? Probably not. I don't think I would. I thought he probably would have been coming off the bench in every match, if you know what I mean. But now he's a nail-on starter, and I think that was the same type of thing with Ross Tierney for me. So I've gone for Ross. Like I said, toss of a coin between 3 or 4 players, really.
That's actually a good sign. There's a lot of good players that performed their 21 or under in the league this year, to be fair. Jamie, who did you go for?
Yeah, I agree with us here now. I went with Ronan Boyce. I just think Ronan Boyce, you did a statistical breakdown of him now, Keith, and some of the stats that he has is absolutely crazy.
Has that done it for you?
Well, Jamie, I'll just say it here, right? I'll just say it here.
Yeah.
They've done the statistical breakdown, right? I'd say, I don't know now, but if you looked at Ross Tierney and Darragh Bones' breakdown, they would be shooting because they probably lift the ball a lot. But they're so attack-minded. They always take on that player. So I look at that as well now.
That's fair enough, but I think as well, right, irrespective of stats, then you have to look at his versatility. He can play right full, he can play the right in a tree, he can play right wing back. So that's another thing going for him, I think, as well. He's so calm. From the start of the season, I actually disagree with you now, Keane, as well. I thought from the start of the season he was pretty good. He was the mainstay in that team, and I thought he always looked calm. Maybe he wasn't putting up the numbers that he put up later, but I thought he was very assured in the first half of the season anyway. But yeah, for me, like Keano was saying, I think I have many of the same 5 on my short list, but for me, Ronan Boyce just edges it for me.
Yeah, I actually went for Ronan Boyce as well, and because of that, he wins with 3 votes. Yeah, I went for Ronan Boyce. He came in against Pats. That was his first game. Lapanu got sent off, and he came in. Ever since, he hasn't looked back. He's just been really, really good. He's got 7 goals from wing back or centre back this season as well. He can play both roles really, really well. Probably didn't really get the credit he deserves. Interesting, none of us went for Devoy, but the reason I kind of ruled out Devoy compared to, say, Tierney and players like that Boyce is because he didn't start any of the first 10 matches. And no, he done well when he came in, but it was a big chunk of the season not to start in, wasn't it? To be fair, I feel anyway. 10 out of 36, a lot of games, so that's the reason I didn't go for him. Daz actually went for Johnny Kenny. To be fair to him, I thought he'd go for a bold player. Honestly, he went for Johnny Kenny, and Fikra actually went for Ross Tierney as well. So Tierney got 2, and Boyce got 3. So Boyce gets the young player, Premier Division Player of the Year. So yeah, Premier Division Player of the Year. Here we'll start off with Oisín this time, actually. Yeah.
Very tough.
This could be controversial, I think.
Yeah,
I don't know. Just have a feeling.
You also have your few candidates. You have your Georgie Kellys, and also you have Graham Burke could be put in there as well, possibly. I think I'll go with Georgie Kelly. Being Donegal man he is, although he did play for Derry. I think I'll go for Georgie Kelly. I think he has a lot of goals so far, or for the season, like. So yeah, I think he kind of deserves it.
Philip,
do you know something? This is gonna throw a real spanner in the works. As much as I gave him stick all year, and I mentioned that week in, week out, he just drifts through games, and I think I'm going to mention now, Keith, Danny Mandrew. The amount of goals he scored coming from midfield, and I know a lot of it
15
was
goals, yeah,
do you know what I mean? And that from a midfielder is fantastic in my opinion. And just the quality of towards the end of the season, he was unplayable. He really was. He just was fantastic, and you might not see it as a big goal, but the night we're going to win the league against Finn Harps, he scores very early on. Do you know what I mean? And a lot of people say, it's a goal against Finn Harps, who didn't play the strongest of sides. But I can tell you now, walking into that ground, I was absolutely cacking myself. And as was all the other 7,000-8,000 Rovers fans, whatever we had in there in the night. And he just, that goal, although we were going to win the league regardless, but that just calmed everyone down. But in terms of what he done towards the back end, I just think it has to be him. And And I think Jack Moore mentioned it on a podcast there the other day. I think he's probably due a call up soon. If he can keep playing the way he's playing. And I just think if he can add that little bit more in terms of his, I don't know, it's weird. It's like he's still missing that little bit, Keith. But I just think the goals
involvement, maybe.
Yeah, the involvement.
To get to that level, yeah.
Yeah, and like if he can just do that, like he'll easily take a couple of steps above this league, this very, very good and competitive league, and I think he could be looking at a move across the water if he does. But again, he has to do it soon. He's getting to that age, so no, he's my player of the year.
Good show, Keno.
Yeah, I had a three player list. I had Mandrew, I had Lopez, and I've gone for Chris Forrester.
So Kelly not even in the list. Interesting.
Yeah, good man.
No,
interesting.
I have to say, Mandrew and Forrester was me one. It was a toss of the coin between the both. Mandrew, I don't like. It's similar to Chris Forrester in terms of people are expecting them to go out and score 2 and 3 goals a game, and they expect them to just run the show. It doesn't happen in this league. It doesn't happen in any league, really. And I don't understand people's perception of, Mandrew played through today. Yeah, but
because he didn't score.
Yeah, did you not see the amount of passes he made? Did you not see the pass before the assist? Did you not see this? And there's a lot of things like that. I think Mandrew had to deal with an awful lot of pressure this year from Rovers fans as well. Because it is tough to go from Rovers to Bows in this league. And I think we've seen big players struggle in terms of Luke Bourne at the time, who was a massive player. You're looking at your even Killian Brennan, for example. Probably one of the best players to ever grace the league. Couldn't make that change and make it work. And I think it took Watts probably 2 to 3 years now to really kick into gear. I think Mandrew has done it in one season. I don't even think Lopez done it in one season either, to be honest with you. So I think he deserves a lot of credit for that. He's a great young fella. I think people have this perception of him and things like that. He's not like that in the slightest. He's honestly one of the nicest gents in the game. But I've gone for Forrester after saying all that about Danny. It's great to see he get back to his best. We had a tough time and stuff like that. And look, I take that into account, and his 4th season back and how bad it was, and he was really struggling in himself, and it was heartbreaking, especially as a Pats man, because everyone knows, like every club, we always try and look after our players as best as possible.
Kane, I think most Pats fans were kind of willing them as well, whereas others might have turned against them.
That's it. I don't think anyone turned against him. We knew his quality, and so did he, and we knew how good he was, and it's great to see him showing it. I think the cup final, it was made for him to go and score a goal like that. And
what an end to the season.
I'm delighted for him that he scored that, because I know and I'm delighted for us that we won the cup, because if he missed that penalty, we didn't go on and win the cup. I know we blame himself for not winning that cup, and I'm delighted we've gone and done it. I'm delighted Gik done it, and look, he's honestly, he's an absolute gent, and like I says, when I'm talking a player of the year, that comes into account, whether you're a gent or not. In my opinion, all of that comes into account.
Yeah.
What he's given to Pat this year and what he's done is second to none. So for me, he's my player of the year without question.
That's a very good shout again, though. Jamie?
Yeah, I agree with Keno here, without doubt for me.
You went for Chris
Forrester. Yeah. I agree with what Phil's saying. Danny Mandrew, what a player. It was them two that were really on my mind player of the year. But for me, Chris Forrester seems like a bit more of a leader. I think that's important as well as a player of the year. I think Pats, like we were talking about earlier, they brought in a lot of young players and they played a lot more than probably we all would have thought. And for the first time ever, in my opinion, since I've watched Chris Forrester, he seems like a proper leader in that team. Obviously, he's captain from time to time, and now Bramwell and Benton are playing. But like, even the talking that he does on the pitch, it's absolutely amazing. Like, I think everyone respects Chris Forrester and that Pats team, even in the league, because of all he's done and all the quality that he has, and he's really just shown it again this year. Reading back the years, Some of his goals, Longford at Richmond Park, what a goal. Takes it on the edge of the box, takes the touch, and ends up in the top corner. That is a great finish right there. Yeah. And even, we saw it in little spots at the end of last season. He was really starting to come back into himself. And now this year, he's hitting another level. He's been absolutely amazing. And he's shown his maturity as well on and off the pitch. He's not the same Chris Forrester before he left. He's evolved as a person as a player. And for me, what player of the year.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the great goals are still there. I didn't pick him, actually, funnily enough, and you know how much I like Chris Forrester, but just to pick up that point quickly on Jamie there, like the goals are still there, but it's what he does now in the midfield. You know what I mean? He's really improved in that aspect. His off the ball work is excellent, tactical play. We know what he can do in terms of passing and shooting, but I just think he has really matured into that role of central midfield, and like he's after having a great season. I actually went for Pico Lopez. No one went for him, and the reason we went for Pico is because Rovers were so good at the back this season, conceding 28 goals. I just felt with Pico, he was the glue in that defence. And, whenever he wasn't missing off in 1 or 2 games, they did look a bit shakier. And I just think the fact that Rovers won the league by 16 points, that, I think you kind of have to look at that as well. I think with Georgie Kelly, Georgie Kelly's going to win here. He has 3 votes, so he's going to win Player of the Year. But I just think I do agree with Philip in that aspect where he said, what do the goals mean at the end of the day, especially in the league when you finish 5th, in all honesty. And I just think with Lopez and Rovers, to win the league by 16 points, to be that good defensively, to be a real leader, very good on the ball, as we know. Recovery, if he does make a mistake, he's very good at making up for it. That recovery pace is very good, and he gets clean tackles in. So for me, I went for Pico Lopez, but ultimately George Kelly wins Player of the Year. And in international as well, which is great to see. So, he at least, he gets a bit of kudos anyway. But Georgie Kelly gets 3 votes, Forrester gets 2, and Georgie Kelly gets Player of the Year. So, right, guys, so first division manager of the year. We'll start with Oisin with this one.
Yeah, I think it's, as I mentioned already, 3 United Overachievers. I'm going to go with Tommy Barrett. The job he's done, getting to the playoffs. So I think, obviously, Ian Morris will be in with the shout, possibly Andy Myler. But yeah, I'm going to go and give it to Tommy Barrett. Interesting to see what he can build on next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Philip?
Ian Morris, for me, got so much stick from Sheffield fans, was completely unjustified. And look, I just didn't like the way things finished with him this season at Sheffield. I thought it was a disgrace the way it happened. And the club should be ashamed of themselves. And I hate to say, I hope they get what they deserve next season after doing that to him. He's a good footballer, man, Ian. He's probably not the most knowledgeable or the most tactically inept manager you'll see, but he put sides out there that, look, we're not at the biggest budget and whatever in the division, but it doesn't make a difference. You still have to go out and get results. Do you know what I mean? Look at Dundalk this year with the biggest budget.
Yeah.
I was disappointed in how it was dealt with. And so yeah, Ian Morris, my manager of the year, and I'm interested now to see what happens with the next.
Keno?
Yeah, Ian Morris. Tommy Barrett has to be up there for what he's over 3, no question. It's a toss up between the 2 of them. But the pressure that Ian was on to succeed this year, especially after being relegated, some big players in that dressing room as well. Some big names in terms of, when I'm saying big names, I'm not saying this they're causing trouble or anything in the dressing room.
No, but it's a big squad, actually, a large squad as well.
There's a large squad, but these big names Brendan Clark, Bill Cruz, Ryan Brennan, these Michael O'Connor, there's big personalities and big players there. And, he got a tune out of them every week. He had everything well drilled. I think if that's a skill in itself, he's won 2 league titles now, another first division, but that's 2 league titles with Shells. He's a manager that the news is just after obviously at the break and that Gary Cronin has gone to Longford. I would have liked to see Ian Morris maybe there. Maybe we might see him at Bray, who knows. But, I have to say, I think he's a fantastic manager. I've worked very, very closely with him when I was at Bowes, and he's an excellent person to be around. And his knowledge of the game is infectious to this league. And I really hope now he gets himself back in with the club, because what he's done at Shells has been amazing.
Jamie?
Yeah, I think Ian Morris and Tommy Barr are the two that stand out for me. I've went with Tommy Barr. I think what Ian Morris has done has been unbelievable, but I just think Tommy Barr, I don't know, I get the sense that he has a lot more responsibility just with himself. I think Ian Morris maybe has Aaron Reynolds to bounce off of, or he has the options of a bigger team around him and players that are experienced, which they can go both ways. They could be hard characters to manage, or it could be positive impacts on coaching the young players and bringing them in. But for me, I think Tommy Barrett, he has to do a lot more work by himself, a smaller budget, and players that none of them have played before with each other going into their first game of the season. And he's really made Treaty into fourth with a small budget. I think he's a Limerick man, managing Limerick beforehand. Now at Treaty, I think he's amazing. And I really hope, I don't know what the financial situation is at Treaty, I really hope he gets a bit of a budget to see what he can really do and see what he can really achieve at Treaty. But yeah, for me, definitely Tommy Barrett as manager.
Daz went for Barrett and Feaker went for Morris, which means it's 3 each, and I had the deciding vote. So I actually went for Ian Morris.
Good man, Keno.
And Keno. And do you know what the reason is really? It's because I went for Treaty. I gave them well done, Keno, anyway. I gave Treaty the overachievers, so I was neck and neck with these two. So that's the reason why I gave it to Morris. But one defeat all season until they won the league, and then they lost again against Cove. But look, like Jamie's case there makes a very good case, to be fair, with the bounce of ideas and things like that with Morris and that. But I suppose I've given it to Morris as well because maybe he did get a little bit of flack, let's be honest, as well. So Morris just about for me. But so he gets First Division Manager of the Year, but God, it's tight, isn't it? Premier Division Manager of the Year. We'll start with you, Jamie, for this one. This is the final one.
I was stuck between two. Stephen Bradley and the main one who I actually went for, Rory Higgins. For me, two amazing managers, two amazing characters. Rory Higgins, I'll be honest, I had doubts about him leaving a role with the FAI and joining Derry. And I wish mine and like me praising Derry, but I think, he's been amazing. He's really turned things around at Derry. And keep in mind, this isn't with his squad, this is with Declan Vaughan's squad primarily. And he's really got these players playing at the top of their game. I really like how he's introduced Kieran Harkin back into the Derry fold as well. Smashing player. Yeah. And maybe he wasn't getting the time with Declan Vaughan. But yeah, I think the way he's managed the characters, the way he's brought in players, I think it's hard to not choose Rory Higgins despite Stephen Bradley winning the title, which is an awfully hard thing to do. Retaining the title is even harder. But for me, Rory Higgins, I think as well with Rory Higgins, he's not afraid to bring in the youth. He's done what Stephen O'Donnell's done, and he's done it from maybe a riskier position. When he took over, believe it or not, there was talks about Derry maybe being pulled into a relegation fight, which is absolutely crazy. But at that time, people forget how bad of a spot Derry were left in after Declan Devine left. And I think Rory Higgins has really changed the culture at Derry. So yeah, for me, Rory Higgins.
Yeah. Be interested to get on next season. Keno, who'd you go for?
Toss up between Stephen Bradley and Alan Matthews. Not from a coach as manager of the year, you have to go with the
Fair enough.
So
fair enough.
We'll start with Stephen Bradley. He has what he's done to Shamrock Rovers and what he's achieved is nothing short of amazing. The way he's managed the club, similar to what Stevie has done really, or Pat's, to be honest, in terms of the mentality type of thing. That was dead wood at Rovers when he came in. I think it took a lot longer than Rovers fans wanted and Stephen Bradley wanted. It took an awful lot longer than probably anyone really thought, because if you're getting the Shamrock Rovers job, your aim is to win that league next year or the same year if you're getting early on the season. So, it took a few years. I wasn't plain sailing at all, but the club stuck with him. They went through the process and now they're reaping the reward. Like I said before, I don't know when I was talking to you, Keith, but I was talking to you yesterday, wasn't it, about we done the review, and I was saying, look, what he's done on the domestic front is unbelievable now. Next stop is Europe. Within 5 years, we should be seeing the Shamrock Rovers in the conference league every year. They should be in the group stages within 5 years. I think that has to be the benchmark for a club like Rovers. And yeah, I've gone for Stephen Bradley.
Philip.
No questions. No, like there's no question here. Stephen Bradley has to get it. I know Fikra and the other fella might not vote for them, but he has to win this, in my opinion. There's no one near them tactically. The way he goes about it, it just like the way he sets up teams. So the tactician when it comes to how he sets up his team. You know what I mean? And again, I've mentioned it. I don't think Daz or Fikra are going to give it to him, but it's a no-brainer for me, Keith. No-brainer.
Oisin.
Yeah, I'm gonna go give it to Mr. 007, Keith Long. 0 leagues, 0 cups.
I love
it. No, that's a mistake. I'm only taking the hand. Mr. 007, Keith Long might get another year, but
the big club.
The big club. But no, I'm being serious. I'm gonna give it to Bradley, Stephen Bradley. Bradley. I had a listen today on Off the Ball. Bradley was on, and he was so interesting to chat. He was chatting about when he was a player, when he was over at Arsenal. He always had this thing where he wanted to be a coach whenever he did finish up playing football. And the way that every training session he went into when he was playing, he wrote it all down after, and his philosophy. And he built up all these notes, and it's really it's working for him now. As you can see, he's won 2 in a row, and yeah, he just seems like an all right nice guy, honest guy. And yeah, no, I like to see him go, do well in Europe next year. Because they've obviously won the league 2 years in a row, and then they're just at that stage now where they kick on in Europe. They definitely get a good chance in the Conference League. So yeah, Stephen Bradley gets my vote. Yeah, Mr. 007 can maybe get next year.
For me, it was between Bradley and O'Donnell. I went for Bradley just about, though, I have to say, because O'Donnell, he did overachieve at Pats, let's be honest, finishing second in the league and, winning the cup. Look, it was a great season, and he does deserve credit for that. He did help to change the dressing room culture. But Bradley, for me, just about tips it as well. Win the league by 16 points. As Keane says, big clubs like that as well, you can get a lot of personalities in the dressing room, a lot of players. It's a decent sized squad. It's not the biggest squad, actually. But he's done a brilliant job in putting them together and getting the game plan. That three at the back works really well for them as well. So I gave it to Stephen Bradley, and he wins. He's 4 votes. O'Donnell has 2 votes. You're right, Philip. Fikra and Daz gave it to O'Donnell, and obviously Jamie went for
O'Donnell, wouldn't you? Fikra to pick O'Donnell, wouldn't you?
I think that was to annoy me, to be fair.
Who did Daz vote for?
He voted for O'Donnell as well. He went for O'Donnell.
Typical.
I'm surprised I didn't go for Keith Long.
So look, lads, we'll leave it there. Thanks for coming on. That was absolutely fantastic. Anyone who's watching, let us know what you think in the comments. I'm sure there's 1 or 2 controversial decisions. What do you think of Ush? Given, I suppose, Harps the underachievers of the season as well. So look, no, that was very good, lads. Subscribe to the channel, guys, if you haven't done already. Hit your bell notification button and like the video if you like the content. Thanks a million, guys.
See you next season, boys.